David, as far as I'm aware, we only have one image, one likeness of John Wood Sr. Suddenly, as if from nowhere, two new images have appeared. This is pretty exciting. Tell me the story.
Yes, so we have an image, as you say, which is reputedly of John Wood, that's owned by the Bath Preservation Trust. And that's attributed through a pencil marking on the back. So it's hard to be certain exactly who that is and who those people in that picture are. But over a number of years of research, I have, together with a colleague, Penny Gay, researched the family of John Wood. And in March of this year, one of the descendants who I'd been in touch with for some time came to us with some miniatures in a frame, a set of 8 miniatures in a frame, and asked whether they were significant. Obviously, when you get something quite exciting like that, you have to sort of temper that with what do you do to prove who these people are? And the process of proof has been quite extensive and detailed, but we are now completely convinced that John Wood the elder and John Wood the younger are both two of the miniatures.
We better explain that these miniatures are on display actually in Italy.
Yes, even that story is remarkable because the family have a number of places that they own, and the excitement that came really from them coming over here last year, going around Pride Park, seeing Swainswick and all of that sort of thing, followed by a visit out to Italy by myself, sort of generated a sort of, well, we really ought to look at our archives and see what we've got. And the net result of that was that they went to one of their houses to have a look, and they, on the wall were these miniatures, which no one in the family had really thought much about for many years.
So we're saying that descendants of the two Woods somehow ended up in Italy.
John Wood the younger's son, John Brockwood, married Eliza Davies from Wales. They had 6 children, and really what we know is that she, after her husband had died, was in Italy with all of her children at the marriage of 2 of her daughters. One of the sons, William Henry, stayed in Italy for the whole of his life, and his children, he had a number, married into the Italian aristocracy. So they married a number of Italians. One of them married a French lady. But that family then lived in Italy and is now continuing to live in Italy.
So she would be the woman, we assume, who would have taken the miniatures with her.
It seems most likely that Eliza took the miniatures with her children to Italy. That seems like the obvious explanation. There's no actual proof of that, but it does seem almost certain that that's what happened.
How can you be so sure that these are the images of John Wood Sr. and John Wood Jr.?
So the way we've done that is to do 2 things. One is that family obviously have a number of descendant or ancestor trees. And actually there were quite a few English people in those trees. So we were concerned to ensure that none of those other ancestors could be represented in the miniatures. That resulted in some considerable research looking at wills of paintings that were known to exist of various people and looking at images of those people. and being certain that they are not the same people. The Italian family also know one of Bernardo, who owns the miniatures, his cousin, who's older than him, knew of them as the English family. So we knew they weren't Italians, but the real proof came with the image of John Wood the Elder, because that has a signature or a monogram of an artist. And work on the monogram of that artist identifies him as Peter Paul Lenz. Peter Paul Lenz was known to be working in Bath in 1747. And indeed, he actually painted one of John Wood's contemporaries and someone he worked with, Thomas Attwood. There was a miniature of Thomas Attwood that the Victoria Art Gallery owned. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to see that because they are not aware of where it is currently. But we know it exists or has existed, and we know that too was by Peter Paul Lenz. So we can put the artist in Bath at the right time together with the knowledge that this is owned by a family who was descended from John Wood. Subsequent to all of that, we asked Sue Sloman, who's a noted art historian, art expert, to validate our findings, and she has confirmed that it is her conviction that they are who we say they are.
It's a wonderful story, but what is going to happen now? Are the family likely to let Bath have those miniatures or borrow those miniatures?
They belong to the family. I can't comment further than that. Obviously, they are very significant for Bath. They've allowed me to use their very high quality images that they got a professional photographer to take, and they will be on show tomorrow. And those images, certainly those copies, will be available to be placed somewhere in Bath. What happens to the miniatures themselves, time will tell.
Where would you like the copies to go?
Well, I hope that they'll be shown somewhere significant in Bath for a while. I think that would be rather nice. I haven't had a conversation actually with the Victoria Art Gallery, but that would sound like a sort of place where they might go, perhaps.
Or even a copy in this church where the Woods are buried.
Yes, I'm sure we'll have some copies here at the church.
You must be a very happy man and quite excited. I'm sure you're still excited about the whole thing.
It was very exciting when the discovery unfolded. The initial euphoria, of course, was tempered with the need to be convinced of who they are. But as time went on, it became increasingly clear that they were what we had been looking for many years. And it's very nice to be in a position where we can actually see what these people actually looked like.
Have you compared these images with the only image we have had so far?
Indeed, and I think the consensus of all the people I've talked to about this, I mean, there are about 3 or 4 people who've actually seen these images so far, apart from the family. And I think everybody feels that it actually is a way of attributing the original picture that's owned by the Preservation Trust. Yeah, the Preservation Trust picture, I think, was at best sort of a non-ideal image of John Wood, or indeed any of the sitters. There were obvious similarities with the other sitters who are known to have pictures of them, particularly Ralph Allen. And I think the image of John Wood does, for me, certainly convince you that that is an authentic picture of John Wood as well.
Good job. Well done. David, thank you.